The first thing I noticed when we pulled into my mother-in-law's driveway was the bright ring light glowing through the living room window. It was early evening, the sky painted with soft orange and pink clouds, but inside Diane's house it looked like a miniature film studio. Cameras, lights, tripods, everything carefully arranged. My stomach tightened immediately. Beside me in the passenger seat, my husband Mark sighed quietly. He knew that look on my face. Chloe's probably filming again, he said. Probably. Chloe was always filming. My sister-in-law had built a small but growing online following by turning every family moment into content. Birthdays, arguments, grocery shopping trips. Nothing was private if Chloe thought it could get views. And that was exactly why I had one rule. Our daughter Lily was off limits. Lily was 8 years old. Sweet, sensitive, and still learning how big the world could be. She didn't need strangers online judging her for entertainment. As we stepped out of the car, Lily bounced excitedly beside us, her long brown hair swaying behind her like a silky curtain. She had spent years growing it out, proudly brushing it every night before bed. "Grandma!" she shouted as she ran toward the door. The door flew open before she even knocked. Diane stood there smiling brightly, arms open wide. My sweet girl. She hugged Lily tightly, almost too tightly, before glancing at Mark and me. "Well, come in," she said. "Don't just stand there." Inside, the house smelled like vanilla candles and fresh cookies. But the first thing my eyes locked onto was the ring light in the corner, and behind it stood Chloe. Phone mounted on a tripod, camera already recording. "Oh, perfect timing," Chloe said cheerfully. "You guys just walked into frame." My chest tightened. "Turn that off," I said immediately. Chloe groaned dramatically, but reached over and stopped the recording. "Relax," she said. "It was just background footage. That's not the point," I replied firmly. Diane waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, please. She's just having fun with her videos." Fun. That word always seemed to excuse everything in this family. I knelt down beside Lily and brushed a stray strand of hair from her face. "Remember what we talked about?" I asked gently. Lily nodded seriously. "No pictures, no videos." "Exactly." Chloe rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might stick. "You act like I'm some kind of villain." I stood up slowly. "You're not filming my child. That's the rule." For a moment the room went quiet. Then Diane clapped her hands together. "Well, who wants cookies?" The tension melted just enough for the evening to continue. Lily ran off with her cousins to the backyard, laughing and chasing bubbles across the grass. Watching her smile made my chest loosen slightly. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe tonight would actually be peaceful. Inside, Chloe kept fiddling with her camera setup while scrolling through comments on her phone. "You know," she said casually, "kids do really well on my channel." I turned toward her slowly. "Not my kid." She shrugged. "Your loss, family content gets millions of views." Mark squeezed my shoulder reassuringly. "Drop it, Chloe," he said. Dinner passed quietly after that. Lily told silly stories about school while Diane kept piling food onto everyone's plates. By the time dessert was finished, the sun had fully set. Diane leaned back in her chair. "You two look exhausted," she said. "Why don't Lily stay the night?" I hesitated immediately. Mark noticed. "It could be good for her," he said softly. "She loves sleepovers here." Lily looked at me with hopeful eyes. "Please, Mom." I glanced at Chloe across the room. She was busy editing something on her phone, barely paying attention to us. Finally I sighed. "Okay," I said slowly. "But remember the rules." Diane smiled brightly, of course. We hugged Lily goodbye at the door. She wrapped her arms around my waist tightly. "Love you, Mom. Love you more." As we drove away, the house disappeared behind us in the darkness. For a while the car was quiet. Then Mark asked gently, "You okay?" "I just have a weird feeling," I admitted. He reached over and squeezed my hand. "It's just one night." I nodded, trying to believe him. Back at home, I changed into pajamas and sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, trying to relax. The clock on the wall ticked slowly toward 10. 8:30 p.m. Then my phone buzzed, a message from my friend Sarah. 3 simple words, "Is this Lily?" Below the message was a video link. My stomach dropped, my hands trembled as I pressed play. The video opened with cheerful music and bright lighting, and there was my daughter sitting in a chair. Looking confused, behind her stood Chloe, holding scissors. Diane's laughter echoed somewhere off camera. The caption appeared across the screen, giving my niece a viral glow-up haircut. Wait for the reaction face, scissors. Before I could even process what I was seeing, the scissors sliced through Lily's long hair, and Lily's eyes instantly filled with tears. In that moment my heart shattered, but something else formed too, something colder, because one thing became very clear. They hadn't just broken my rule, they had humiliated my daughter for views. And as the video kept playing, one thought repeated in my mind over and over again. By midnight, they were going to regret it. For a few seconds after the video ended, I just sat there staring at my phone. My brain refused to accept what I had just seen. Lily's long, beautiful hair gone in seconds, cut unevenly while my sister-in-law laughed for a video. My daughter's small shoulders looked stiff, and the way she tried to blink away tears made my chest ache. My hands began to shake. "Mark," I whispered. He looked up from the kitchen where he was pouring himself a glass of water. "What's wrong?" I turned the phone toward him without saying anything. He watched the video in silence. The room suddenly felt heavy. When the scissors sliced through Lily's hair on screen, Mark's jaw tightened so hard I thought his teeth might crack. "Are you kidding me?" he muttered. I didn't answer. I was already dialing Diane's number. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times, no answer. My stomach twisted harder. I called again, still nothing. Mark grabbed his car keys from the counter. "We're going," he said, but before we could even reach the door, my phone rang. Diane's number. I answered instantly. "Hello." There was a small pause. Then a soft voice said, "Mom." My heart dropped. "Lily, yeah." Her voice sounded quiet. Smaller than usual. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" I asked quickly. "I think so." I swallowed the lump forming in my throat. "Can you tell me what happened with your hair?" For a moment there was silence on the other end. Then Lily sniffed softly. "Aunt Chloe said it would make her video go viral," she whispered. My chest tightened. "She said it would be funny." "And Grandma?" I asked carefully. "She said it was okay," Lily replied. "She said hair grows back." Mark closed his eyes, clearly trying to control his anger. "Did you want your hair cut?" I asked gently. "No," Lily said immediately. The word came out quickly, almost like she had been waiting to say it. "I told them I didn't want to." My heart shattered. "Sweetheart," I said softly, trying to keep my voice calm. "Where are you right now?" "In Grandma's kitchen." "Is anyone with you?" "No, Aunt Chloe is in the living room editing the video." Of course she was, chasing likes, chasing views. While my daughter sat alone trying not to cry. "Okay," I said gently. "I want you to go get your bag and your shoes." "Why?" "Because Mom and Dad are coming to get you." Lily hesitated. "But Grandma said." "I don't care what Grandma said," Mark interrupted, stepping closer to the phone. His voice was calm but firm. "We're on our way, kiddo." There was a small pause, then Lily whispered, "Okay." The call ended. For a moment the house was silent, then Mark grabbed his jacket. I was already halfway to the car. The drive to Diane's house usually took 15 minutes. That night it felt like forever. The streetlights blurred past as Mark drove faster than usual, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "She told them no," he said quietly. I nodded, staring out the window. "She told them no." No one spoke after that. When we finally pulled into Diane's driveway, every light in the house was still on. Music drifted faintly from the living room. "Mark parked the car ready?" he asked. I took a deep breath. "No." Then I opened the door anyway. Inside, the house looked exactly the same as when we had left earlier. Except now Lily stood by the front door, holding her small backpack tightly against her chest. When she saw us, she ran forward and wrapped her arms around me. I knelt down immediately. That's when I saw the damage clearly for the first time. Her once long hair was now chopped into uneven chunks. Some strands barely reached her shoulders, while others hung awkwardly near her chin. It looked rushed, careless, like someone had done it purely for a joke. Lily avoided looking at me. "I'm sorry," she whispered. The words hit me like a punch. "Sweetheart," I said softly, lifting her chin so she could see my face. "You did nothing wrong." Behind us, laughter echoed from the living room. Chloe's voice, "Wait, pause the clip there." Diane chuckled. Mark slowly stood up. "Stay here with Mom," he told Lily. Then he walked into the living room. I followed close behind. Chloe sat on the couch with her laptop, replaying the video. Diane stood behind her, smiling proudly. Neither of them even noticed us at first. On the screen, Lily appeared again, sitting nervously in the chair as Chloe lifted the scissors. Chloe finally looked up. "Oh, hey," she said casually. Diane turned around. "Oh, you're back already." Mark's voice was quiet. "Delete the video." Chloe blinked. "What? The video?" I repeated slowly. "Delete it." Chloe leaned back against the couch, completely unfazed. "Relax. It's just hair." My hands clenched into fists. "And besides," she added with a smirk, turning the laptop toward us, "it already has 40,000 views." Mark stared at the screen for a moment. Then he said something that made the room suddenly feel colder. "You should delete it," Chloe laughed. "Why would I do that?" Mark looked at Diane, then back at Chloe. And in a calm, steady voice he said, "Because you just broke the agreement." The smiles slowly faded from their faces. And suddenly, the room didn't feel so comfortable anymore. For a moment, the room went completely silent. Chloe looked at Mark like he had just told the world's worst joke. "The agreement," she repeated with a short laugh. "What agreement?" Diane's smile had already begun to fade. Mark didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The calm tone in his words somehow felt heavier than shouting. "The one you signed 2 months ago," he said. Chloe turned to her mother. "Mom, what is he talking about?" Diane shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very interested in the pattern on the carpet. "It's nothing," she muttered, but I knew better. 2 months earlier, Diane had called us in tears. I still remembered the phone call clearly. Her mortgage payments were months behind. The bank had already sent 2 warning letters. If she didn't pay what she owed soon, they would begin foreclosure proceedings. At first, Mark didn't want to get involved. His relationship with his mother had always been complicated, and money had only made things worse in the past. But Diane kept begging. "Please," she had said, "I'll lose the house, your childhood home." Against our better judgment, we agreed to help. But not without protection. My cousin David was a lawyer, and he had warned us from the beginning. "If you're giving that much money," he said, "make sure everything is written down." So we drafted a simple legal agreement. Mark and I paid $22,000 to stop the foreclosure and bring Diane's mortgage current. In return, Diane agreed to several conditions. The most important one was very clear. Our daughter Lily could not appear in any online content without our written permission. No videos, no pictures, no live streams, nothing. David had insisted on including a penalty clause if the agreement is violated. He explained, the financial help immediately becomes a repayable loan, with interest and legal penalties. At the time, Diane had barely looked at the paperwork. She just wanted the money. "Fine, fine," she said, signing her name quickly. "Whatever you want." Now, standing in her living room, that careless signature had finally come back to haunt her. Chloe scoffed loudly. "You're seriously trying to threaten us with some random contract?" Mark walked calmly toward the coffee table. The laptop was still open, paused on the moment Chloe held the scissors above Lily's hair. My daughter's nervous face stared back at us from the screen. "Do you see this?" Mark asked quietly. Chloe crossed her arms. "Yeah, my viral video." Mark nodded once. "Exactly." Then he turned toward Diane. "You agreed not to film Lily. You agreed not to post her online." Diane's voice trembled slightly. "It was just a haircut." "No," I said firmly. "It was a violation." Chloe rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh my God, you two are being ridiculous." She pointed at the screen proudly. This video is blowing up. Do you know how hard it is to get engagement like this?" Mark didn't respond. Instead, he slowly pulled out his phone. Chloe smirked. "What are you doing? Calling the haircut police?" He ignored her and opened his messages. Then he typed something quickly and pressed send. "Who did you text?" Diane asked nervously. "My cousin David," Mark replied. Diane's face paled. "The lawyer, yes." Chloe laughed again, though the sound wasn't as confident this time. "You can't be serious." Mark placed his phone back in his pocket. "You signed the contract," he said simply. Diane's breathing became uneven. "That was just a formality." "No," I said quietly. "It was a legal agreement." For the first time, Chloe looked slightly uneasy. "Okay, but even if that's true, what does it matter?" she asked. Mark looked directly at her. "It matters because you posted proof." He turned the laptop screen toward Diane. The video showed everything. Lily sitting in the chair, Chloe holding scissors, Diane laughing in the background. The caption clearly visible at the top, "Giving my niece a viral glow-up haircut. Wait for the reaction face." Scissors as Chloe tried to close the laptop, but Mark stopped her. "Too late," he said calmly. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and read the message. Then he showed the screen to me. David's reply was short. "Got the video. Clause violation confirmed. Starting enforcement." I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. This situation should never have happened, but they had crossed a line. Mark looked back at Diane. "You should probably answer your phone tonight," he said. "Why?" she asked weakly. "Because the bank will be calling." Chloe frowned. "What does the bank have to do with anything?" Mark's voice remained calm. "Everything." Diane's hands started shaking. "You wouldn't actually enforce that?" she whispered. Mark didn't hesitate. "Yes." The word landed in the room like a heavy stone. Chloe suddenly stood up. "You're ruining our lives over a stupid haircut." I looked at her coldly. "No," I said. "You did that yourself." At that exact moment, Diane's phone buzzed loudly on the table. She picked it up slowly. Her eyes widened when she read the screen. It was the bank, and it wasn't the last call she would receive that night. Diane stared at her phone like it had just bitten her. The screen kept lighting up with incoming calls, but she didn't answer immediately. Her fingers trembled as if touching the phone might somehow make everything worse. Chloe looked between us, clearly confused. "Why is the bank calling?" she demanded. No one answered her. Finally, Diane swallowed hard and tapped the screen. Hello." Her voice was shaky, nothing like the confident tone she usually used. Mark and I stood quietly beside the door where Lily waited, clutching her backpack. At first, Diane only listened. Then her face slowly drained of color. "What do you mean, reactivated?" she asked the person on the other end. Chloe frowned. "Mom, what are they talking about?" Diane didn't respond. She was still listening. A few seconds later, she gasped softly. "No, that can't be right." My heart felt heavy watching her realization unfold. I hadn't wanted things to go this far, but some lines simply couldn't be ignored. Diane finally lowered the phone slowly. They said the loan has been activated again." Chloe blinked. "What loan?" Mark answered calmly. "The one we helped her with." Chloe waved her hand dismissively. "That was a gift." "No," Mark said quietly. "It wasn't." He stepped closer to the coffee table and pointed at the paused video on Chloe's laptop. That video triggered the penalty clause. Chloe shook her head. "You're bluffing." I reached into my bag and pulled out a folded copy of the agreement. We always kept one, just in case. I placed it gently on the table in front of Diane. Her eyes scanned the paper quickly until they landed on the section she clearly remembered now. Clause 4. Unauthorized posting or filming of the minor will convert financial assistance into a repayable loan with penalties and interest. Diane covered her mouth. "No." Mark spoke gently, but firmly. "The total amount owed is now $31,400. Chloe laughed nervously. "Okay, this is insane. Nobody sues family over a haircut." "It's not about the haircut," I replied quietly. "It's about using our daughter after we said no." Lily shifted beside me, still holding my hand. I squeezed her fingers gently. Chloe grabbed her laptop and started clicking quickly. "Fine," she said. "I'll just delete the video." She refreshed the page. The view counter was still climbing. 52,000 views, she muttered. Then she pressed delete. The video disappeared from her profile. "There," she said, slamming the laptop shut. "Problem solved." Mark shook his head slowly. "It doesn't work like that." Chloe frowned. "What do you mean, once it's posted?" He explained calmly. The violation already happened. Diane looked like she might faint. But we removed it." "Yes," Mark said, after the proof was recorded. Almost as if on cue, Chloe's phone buzzed loudly. She glanced at the screen, then her expression changed instantly. "What the—" Another notification popped up. Then another. "Why is my account warning me?" she asked. I already knew the answer. Someone had reported the video. Possibly multiple people. Posting a child without parental consent violated several platform policies. Chloe's hands began shaking as she scrolled. "They're saying the video broke safety guidelines," she whispered. A red warning banner flashed across her screen. "Content removed. Account strike issued." Chloe looked like she might scream. "My sponsorship deal is linked to that account." Mark didn't react. "You should have thought about that first." Diane sank slowly into a chair. "I can't pay $31,000, she said weakly. The room felt quiet for a moment, not angry, just heavy. Finally Lily tugged gently on my sleeve. "Mom." I knelt down beside her. "Yes, sweetheart. Can we go home now?" Her small voice cut through everything else in the room. The contract, the money, the consequences, none of it mattered as much as that moment, of course, I said softly. Mark picked up Lily's backpack while I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. As we walked toward the door, Diane spoke again. Her voice cracked. "Please, can we talk about this tomorrow?" Mark paused at the doorway. He looked back at his mother. "You should have thought about tomorrow before you hurt her today." Chloe's phone buzzed again behind us. More messages, more problems, but we didn't stay to watch. Outside, the cool night air felt calm compared to the tension inside the house. Lily leaned against me as we walked to the car. I brushed my fingers gently through the uneven strands of her hair. "We'll fix it," I whispered. She nodded quietly. Behind us, the house lights still glowed. Inside, two people were finally realizing something important. My daughter wasn't content. She wasn't a joke, and she definitely wasn't something to use for views. Because sometimes the loudest consequences arrive long after the camera stops recording. And that night, when the clock struck midnight, the video might have disappeared. But the price for it had just begun.